Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good morning, Bu Vita, and good morning, all my friends of a big class. Today, I would like to present my presentation is about assessing English as lingua franca, and also critical pedagogy and word Englishes. As you can see here, there are 3 points of my presentation. The first is assessing English as lingua franca. The second is critical pedagogy. And then the third is word Englishes. Directly, we continue for the first point is English as lingua franca. There are 2 points here. The first is a language that is adopted as a common language between speakers whose native languages are different, also known as a bridge language that trade language or vehicular languages. Language is a language or a dialect systematically used to make communication possible between people who do not share native language or dialect. And then assessing English as lingua franca. According to Namara 2011, it seems to me that there is a great need for rethinking the construct evolved in a language assessment. I think we are at the moment of a very significant change, the sort of a change that only comes along once in a generation or longer. The challenge that is emerging in our developing understanding of what is involved in ELF communication. And also ELF speakers, the argument will continue, do indeed have different needs, and to pretend they do not make a homogeneous group is to fail to take ethical responsibility. Therefore, the assessment methods should be developed that take account of students' differing backgrounds and academic needs. And then we continue for the second point of my presentation is about critical pedagogy. I put 2 points here. The first is awareness of the impact one's work in setting up research. Considerations should be given to conflicting interests. Why? Because it is necessary to consider the effect research on all groups within society, including those that are not directly involved. Information can be misconstrued or misused. Applied linguistics should try to anticipate likely misinterpretation and the damage they might cause and counteract them when they occur. And then we continue for the second point is, in this advocacy of critical pedagogy, the researcher in this project makes the following comment broadly speaking, then critical pedagogy aims to change both schooling and society to the mutual benefit of both. A question would need to be asked here regarding the outcome of such research toward English, given that attention appears to have moved away from language and culture, and their interaction toward politics. Critical pedagogy takes schools as cultural and political arenas where different culture, ideological, and social forms are constantly in struggle. And then we moved for the last point of my presentation is about the word Englishes. The expression of word Englishes is capable of range of means and interpretation. There are 3 here. The first is first sense, the second narrower sense, and the third sense. For the first sense, perhaps the term function as an umbrella label referring to a wide range of differing approaches to the description and analysis of Englishes worldwide. And then for the second narrower sense, the term is used to specifically refers to the new Englishes found in the Caribbean and in West African and East African societies such as Nigeria, Kenya, and to such Asian Englishes as Hong Kong English, Indian English, Malaysian English, and Singaporean English, and Philippine English. And then for the third sense is World Englishes refers to the wide-ranging approach to the study of the English language worldwide, particularly associated with Brajbi Kachru and other scholars working in World Englishes paradigm. And then for the socio-linguistic approaches here, the socio-linguistic approaches to world Englishes may be regarded as subsuming 4 types of the studies. As you can see here, the first is the sociology of language. The second is feature-based. The third is Kachruvian studies. And then the fourth is Pidgin and Creole. But the first is the sociology of language. 2 books by Joshua Fishman and his associate have provided sociologically detailed treatments of the spread of English and post-imperial English respectively, and also attempt to identify the relevant socio-political predictors of the use of English in post-colonial societies, former Anglophone colonial status, linguistic diversity, religious composition, and educational and economic development. Fishman also noted that the international sociolinguistic balance at the time rested on 3 factors. The first is the spread of English, the second is the control of English, and then the last is the fostering of vernacular languages. Then we move to the second point is features-based here. In contrast with the sociology of language approach to world Englishes, as a feature-based approach has typically involved in linguists in identifying and making statements about the distinctive features of varieties in terms of pronunciation or accent, phonology, vocabulary, lexis, or grammar, morphology, and syntax. And then we move to the third point from sociolinguistic approaches as Kachruvian studies. The work of Brajbi Kachru in this field is of central and enduring importance, and the influence of the Kachruvian approach to world Englishes extend across a range of subdisciplines, including applied linguistics, critical linguistics, descriptive linguistics, discourse analysis, and educational linguistics. And also, Kachru responsible for answering the annual Conference on World Englishes held by the International Association for Englishes, for World Englishes, which provide a forum for research, discussion, and debate. And then the last point of sociolinguistic is Pidgin and Creole. According to Gorlach, 1980, argues that because of the continua that exists in many societies linking Pidgins and Creoles with standard languages, their study can therefore, with some justification, be regarded as being part of English or French or Portuguese studies, as is the study of the respective dialects, citing Creole, Tok, Piscine, and Seranan as cases in point. Then we continue for the next point from the world Englishes is applied linguistic approaches, where one of the first applied linguistic approaches to varieties of world Englishes began with the work of Halliday, Malthus, and Stevens, who sought to apply insight derived from the linguistic science to the newly emergent field of applied linguistics, which in Britannia and the USA was broadly concerned with the theories of language learning, language teaching, and language pedagogy. And then the next is lexicographical approach. The first dictionaries of word Englishes were glossaries produced in the United States at the beginning of the 19th century. They included Pickering 1916, Bartlett in 1848. Dictionaries are profoundly important for the recognition of world Englishes as acquired in 1990 has pointed out. It is only when a world variety of English is supported by codification, chiefly expressed through national dictionaries, that one can make strong claims that such as a variety is institutionalized. And then for the next point from the world Englishes is, I give name here is the history of world Englishes from the popularized until the futurologists. For the first is popularizers. During the 1980, at the same time as interest in the study of international varieties of English was quickly growing within universities in the West, a number of popular accounts of the spread of English were being published in Britannia and North America. The best known of this was perhaps Macron, Cran, and McNeil's in 1986, The Story of English, which was accompanied by the worldwide broadcast of 9-part BBC documentary on the history of English languages. Another eminent popularizer from the late 1980 to the present has been David Crystal, who first worked in a popular vein was the penguin paperback, The English Language. This was followed by the Cambridge Encyclopedia of the English Language and the English as a Global Language, and it was this last word which probably attracted the most criticism. And the second is futurologists. Critical linguistics, I'm sorry. In fact, the discourse on word Englishes changed gear dramatically in 1992 with the publication of Philipson's book, Linguistic Imperialism, where critical applied linguistics is more than just a critical dimension added on the top of applied linguistics. It involves a constant skepticism, a constant questioning of the normative assumption of applied linguistics, and a present way of doing applied linguistics that seeks to connect it to question of gender, class, sexuality, race, ethnicity, culture, identity, politics, ideology, and discourse. And then for the last from the history of word Englishes is futurology. The future prospect of English for English in the world are Crystal and Gradolian. Crystal, in the final chapter of English as Global Language, highlights a number of issues related to the future of global English. The issues he discusses include the anxiety about the mother tongue in societies such as India, the debate about the official English movement in the USA, and then the existence and growth of the new Englishes. In contrast to Crystal, Gradle rejects word standard Englishes and predict polycentric future for English standards in the future, presenting a number of analyses of the economic and socio-political effect of the spread of English. Then the last point from the word Englishes is from theory to practice. As we know that today, the English language now plays an important role in the lives of rapidly increasing proportion of the world's population. Global perspective, the socio-linguistically complex sides of English using African and Asian societies are no more exotic sideshow, but important sites of contact, negotiation, and linguistic and literary creativity. From the perspective of applied linguistics, perhaps the major challenge from the world Englishes is how the center periphery balance might be best dressed or recentered and pluricentered. That's it for me. Thank you so much for your attention. And as I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.